If I told you that I still love you, what would you say? And if I told you that I still care, would you push me away? You made me feel I know where I wanna be. If I went to apologize, I would admit I often think of you. Conversations overdue. Tell me, if I told you that I still love you, what would you say? And if I told you that I still care, would you push me away? There's just something about you. Oh, something about you. There's just something about you. Oh, something about you. I smile every time I hear your name. Got me thinking about the possibility of a future you and me. And I'm hoping that you feel the same way. I wear my heart upon my sleeve to show you how I feel. If I told you.
Hello, good evening. Welcome back to Do I Look Sick with our Valentine's Day edition, where we're talking about dating, sex, and relationships. So it should be very interesting. We have a guest co-host today, our brother Greg, who's giving the male perspective of everything. So this should be a very interesting show.
Yeah, we have a lot in store for you guys today. We're going to cover it all. Everything that you may not want to talk about and everything that you may have had questions about.
And things that we need to talk about within this topic. So
let's get started.
Right, let's get right into it. Dating with sickle cell. So when do you guys think it's a good time to tell someone that you're dating that you have sickle cell?
I'll let Greg go first since he's the guest.
Okay.
I would say maybe 6 months into the relationship.
Why wait?
Why
so
6
late?
months?
Yeah.
I need to make sure it's worth it. Like, I don't want to be talking to somebody like 2 months and then y'all stop talking. So, are you here for the long haul or not?
Yeah, and I think with me, I'm a little different. I kind of want to tell them up front. Maybe not on the first conversation, but in the first few conversations or encounters. And for me, that's to save time and emotions. I don't want to
be invested.
Yeah, be invested in really liking them. And I'm like, hey, this is what's going on with me, and they're looking at me crazy and can't deal with it. Let me know up front so we can save both of our time. So that's my perspective.
Well, I don't actually have like a timeline like 6 months or 3 months or whatever, but I am like Greg. I don't tell up front. I have to see if it's worth it, if I really like you and what I like you for. Like, it may end up that I only like you as a friend or I only like you as an associate. So in that case, you don't need to know my personal business.
Yeah.
So if I see a future with you, then I'm like, okay, now I have to tell. So sometimes that could be 3 months, sometimes it could be 6 months, and sometimes it could be never.
That's funny. And I guess the pros and cons with that well, for me, even if I tell them up front, if you decide you can't deal with it, thank you. You're the weakest link, goodbye. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's fine. And let's just get that out of the way now. Like I said, versus opposed of our feelings getting invested and they're like, oh, I can't deal with it. So that's my way of dealing with it and why I say something so early. And now that I'm in the advocacy, that question seems to come up of, well, how are you so invested, or what makes you so close to it, or do you have it? They'll just come out and ask.
It does come up a little bit more often now because I'm constantly speaking about it.
Yeah.
So, but I might just be like, it's just near and dear to my heart, and still not really say anything until I feel you out. But I guess there's pros and cons both ways. Like, if you tell them up front and they can't deal with it, you've saved yourself a lot of time. But if you wait and then they can't deal with it still, and now you've invested all this time and energy and you really like this person, and you find out that they're not ready for the type of relationship that you need or that you want, then you're sad by that.
And have you guys ever dealt with the person who decided not to deal with you, knowing now that you told them that you have sickle cell?
Yeah, that has happened to me. My feelings were hurt at first, but at the end of the day, I was just kind of like, well, I guess it saved us both time and effort. So it didn't, it's more efficient to see. That's how I look at it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
I've never been in a position where someone has decided not to be with me afterwards, but I have been in a situation where I've been upfront about it. We've been together for a while, and then like a crisis comes and they're like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't know it was like this, and then they can't handle it at that point. So that, I think, was more disappointing than me telling them up front and them saying, that they couldn't deal with it then.
Yeah.
But this is the situation, I've explained it to you, and you don't really know until you know. Like, you don't know until you go through your first crisis with somebody what, if you can handle it or not.
Right. And that's, I think, one of the things that scare me is if something happens and they're like, whoa, I didn't realize it was like this. So I kind of want to have that conversation in the beginning. So now, do you think that people with the disease or the trait should date each other?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
No.
Well, let me amend that. So, okay. No, I don't think if you're in the childbearing age, I don't think that you should date unless you plan on adopting or something like that. I don't think that people should date if they plan on having kids with each other.
I agree with that. And I think for me personally, it's a lot for me to deal with, and it's a lot for my family to deal with. So having that other person with sickle cell, I think it's adding more pressure onto both of our families.
Yeah.
And I personally don't want to do that to either of our families. So that's also my perspective with it.
And then I think about what my needs are as someone who lives with sickle cell, and then I wonder, am I able to give someone the same type of things that I expect? Like, if he's going through a crisis and I'm going through a crisis at the same time, how can I really be there for him in the way that he needs me to be there for him?
Exactly. And I've heard the debate about another person with sickle cell knows exactly what you're going through. So in a sense, you don't have to explain what you're going through because they already know. But to me, I'd rather teach them how sickle cell works with me and how I need the support or how I need the help as well. I'm more open to dating someone with the trait now that we're the kids may not come, so I'm okay with dating someone with the trait because they don't have the problems that we have, of course.
Right.
And they still have a little bit more education, hopefully, about the trait, disease, or what have you. So I'm open to dating someone with the trait, but we'd adopt if we want kids.
Yeah. What do you think, Greg?
I would not date anybody with the trait nor the disease. It's just a big risk, and me personally, I don't think I would want to put anybody else through what I've been through, or they could have it worse than I have it. And I just couldn't see myself doing that. Knowingly dating somebody with sickle cell or the trait, you gotta know the risk that you're taking, and so that's why I disagree with both of them.
Right.
Yeah. And I know that like some people get offended. This is like a hot topic for some people, and everybody's entitled to their own feelings about it. But I know some people are like, well, if our parents thought that, then we wouldn't even be here to this day. But in a lot of cases, our parents didn't know. They brought us into here ignorant of the fact that they had the trait, or what the effects of bringing a child with sickle cell into the world would be. So I don't say, well, you shouldn't be here. Your parents shouldn't have brought you in here. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I definitely don't think that. And I know that people get in their feelings and that's what they hear.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely not saying that. It's just a personal preference for me.
And then the debate about, okay, if we do have a kid with sickle cell, at least I know how to deal with the child or how to treat the child. But
That's
like we discussed
crazy
the other
to
day,
me.
sickle cell manifests in everybody differently. So
Differently.
you can't say for sure what's going to happen with this kid or how
And
the sickle cell will affect them.
Okay, so I'm a parent. I'm the only one here who's a parent. My child has sickle cell trait, and he doesn't suffer any issues because of that, but he catches colds. He gets stomach aches, and I feel helpless as a parent even in those moments. So I can't imagine me being a parent of a child with sickle cell, and I knowingly brought him into this world knowing that there was a possibility of him having sickle cell, and like there's nothing I can do. Just because I understand what he's going through doesn't mean I can take the pain away, doesn't mean I can make it better. I feel helpless when he just has a cold.
Right. And Greg, so your reason, we just talked about the trait, is that because you still want kids? So you don't even want to take that risk, which is completely understandable. And then you're a guy, so you can kind of keep having kids forever. And women, we kind of have an age limit, so that's why I was like, well, now I'm open to dating someone with the trait because, kids are off the table. But since you kind of can go on forever with having kids.
She said forever.
You can have kids in your 60s as a man, you know what I'm saying? Not that you would want to, but that option is there. So is that why you decided against someone with the trait, or it's just no?
It's just an automatic no for me. Okay. And like the way I grew up, like my mom, she was very adamant about me when I used to attend camp. She was just like, I don't want no sickle cell babies. And I was like, okay. And then, I was younger, so I didn't really understand. But as I got older, then I started to see people with it, and I started seeing the struggles that they're going through, and they can't really get through normal everyday life. So I wouldn't dare put myself or my child in that predicament, or my family. So that's why I'm against it.
I get it. That's completely understandable.
Yeah.
So once you're in the relationship, how soon do you ask your partner to go get tested? Like, is that before y'all become exclusive or official, or like when do you...
Like if they don't know their status already?
Yeah.
If we're in a relationship, by chance, we've probably have already talked about it, but I think when it comes down to when we begin a sexual relationship, that's when that conversation comes about, because there's a risk anytime you lay down with somebody. So I think that conversation should be had as soon as possible. But like, I feel like yourself and your partner, so if they want to have kids, then that's, if y'all working towards that goal or something, then y'all should discuss the possibilities of if she has the trait, or vice versa if the male has the trait. So that's my take on that.
Well, since I'm no longer having any more kids, I may not bring that up. Like, I may not be like, you need to be tested. It would be good to know, but it's not necessarily like a hard line for me,
right?
Because I'm not having kids anymore. I'm through with that portion of my life.
I think for me, it's still out of curiosity and also to kind of educate them on their status. So I think, I don't know when I would ask. I never thought about when. A guy that I dated before, we just so happened to go to an event at the Apex Museum where they were doing trait testing or just testing, period. And he found out that he had the hemoglobin C trait. So, if we were to continue a relationship or have a kid, then there was a possibility that child would have SC, the same type that I have. So,
Yeah.
But I haven't put a time limit on when I would ask them to go and get tested.
I mean, I do think it's important, if you plan on having children and stuff, because we're always talking about, oh, we need a cure, oh, we need this, we need that. And really, we have the power to eradicate the disease just by communicating and knowing, our status. So,
yeah, that's true. So, how much support would you like for your partner to give? Like, what do you expect of them as far as supporting you through the crisis or just through the period?
Me.
it's on you.
I need full on support.
Right.
Sometimes, the crisis can be a little bit tougher than the one before, or you might just mentally need that person in your ear to, give you that boost. Maybe, it might help you. You might actually power through the crisis. I mean, it's happened to me before, so I would say that moral support is everything. So if she can give that to me, then I'm willing to take it. But me personally, I know, like, I can get through something by myself, but if you have a loving partner, somebody, who is nurturing, it makes it easier, and you don't feel like you're alone. So,
right.
And that's probably one of the best things for your mental state, when you don't feel like you're doing this by yourself, or if she doesn't, make you feel like you're a burden to her or something like
Right.
that, then you're good.
Yeah.
Because I know I need like emotional, spiritual, mental, physical, all the type of support. I mean, and that's a big ask of someone,
It is.
But in the same vein, that's what you would want from a partner, whether you had sickle cell or not.
Mm-hmm.
You expect that kind of support from a partner, and if you don't get it, then that relationship is doomed from the start, whether you are dealing with an illness or you're not. Like, there are going to be days when I'm going to be able to go full out and give you 100%, and there's going to be days where I may only be able to give you 20%.
Right.
And I need to know that you got that 80 for me.
Right. I can agree with that. And I think to a certain extent, I want them to advocate and go hard for me, just as I do for myself or for other people. Like, be able to talk to the doctors and talk to the nurses and be able to express things that I can't express because I'm in so much pain. Or even if you don't know the dose that I need, at least can voice what type of medication I need or what I'm allergic to. Be able to speak for me when I can't speak for myself.
Right.
Or even just crawl up in the bed with me until the nurse come and kick you out or whatever,
Right.
But having that support is extremely important. I say all the time that it takes a team of people to fight this disease. And if you're with a partner who doesn't understand the disease, maybe not understand it to the T, especially if you're the first person that they know with it, but if they're open to learning about the disease and learning how best to support you, it can't do anything but help your healing, help
Right.
that healing process. So that's extremely important to have your partner along with that. I've heard stories where people are still alone even with their significant other,
Right.
or they blame them for always getting sick, or every time we go somewhere you're hurting, or this, that, and the other. that does nothing but add to what we're already going through.
So a lot of us feel already burdensome to our family, our loved ones. So if you're in a situation, in a relationship where someone is even, compounding that feeling of you being a burden, that's unhealthy.
It is.
That's unhealthy, mentally and emotionally, and it's not a situation that you want to be in, because that becomes a trigger.
Right. I call it a health hazard. Toxic people, I don't care who they are, if it's a significant other, if it's a sibling, it doesn't matter. Toxic people are a health hazard to us. And at the end of the day, when that health hazard is there, and even negativity, it doesn't have to be anything physical, but that toxicity just adds to the detriment of this disease, the worst parts of this disease.
I remember in a relationship once, the guy told me, I can't ever be sick because you're always sick. And I was like, dang, like, am I acting, am I making it like I don't care what he's going through? And then I had to like reevaluate myself, like, am I making everything about me? Is it always about me? I mean, it wasn't. That was just a toxic relationship.
Right.
Once I really went back and looked at it. But it was something like that now, moving forward in relationships, I'm like, it's something that's in the back of my head that I never want to make it all about me.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, how are you? Are you good?
I do that too.
Like maybe even extra, because I want them to know that, like, it's okay for you to falter also. Like, I have you.
Do you think we're more empathetic as people living with sickle cell to people, period? Do you think that makes us a little bit more compassionate to other people?
I think it does in some ways, and I think it doesn't in other ways.
Okay.
And let me explain that. Like, so I might be on Facebook and read somebody's like, oh my God, I'm dying. I have a cold. I can't live today. And I'm like,
it's a cold.
Are you serious? It's a cold. So I don't have a lot of compassion for stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
But if it was something like, oh my gosh, I found out that I have to have my leg amputated, something that's so outrageous, but something like that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I really feel for that. But I do not have patience for drama. Like,
I got it.
Like, oh my, you're going to die because you have a cold. Are you kidding me? Like, oh, you stubbed your toe and it's the end of the world and you made a post about it. Like, I don't care. So it does make me compassionate in some ways, but other ways I'm like, nah.
And in those same ways, I think my advocacy mode just jumps in when other people, especially need assistance with whatever health issue they're dealing with.
Right.
Advocacy.
It's like, I'm a professional. Let me handle it.
Let me talk to your doctors, because I'm sure you might not know what questions to ask, and so I automatically just jump into advocacy mode when I'm with someone, even just a friend who's going through stuff. So
yeah, it's like my mom was not well not too long ago, not anything serious, and we had to go to the emergency room, and I'm like, I'm a professional patient. What are you doing to her? Like, I need to know, oh, what you going to give her? How many milligrams? No, you need to do this and you need to do that. So, like, and because she's my biggest supporter, I'm definitely going to step in and be like, whatever she needs, it needs to happen pronto.
Yeah, same thing with my mom. I remember one of her doctors asking me if I wanted to come work for her, and I'm like, no, because I'm really going to send everybody away from you. So that might not be a good idea, but yeah, the advocacy mode just jumps in whenever it's needed. So the next topic is if you're younger than 18 or maybe 15, I don't know, but we're going to get into sex with sickle cell and how that plays a part into crisis and everything else. So had you heard of or had experiences where sex has caused a pain crisis?
Yes.
Crickets.
Crickets. So I have heard of that.
Okay.
I don't think that is really far-fetched, because hydration, overexertion, You know, all those things are triggers for crises. So, I mean, everything we do in some kind of way, there's a possibility of triggering a crisis if you're overextending yourself a little bit. So, yeah, I have heard of that.
Okay. What about you, Greg?
Me personally, I've heard of it, but it hasn't happened to me. I really just think it goes along with just like your daily life, the way you wake up, like what do you put into your body, like are you exercising, do you take your medicine like you're supposed to? All of those can contribute to abnormal everyday function. So I think it really starts with you. So I would say, you know, if you're not putting in the work, if you're not, you know, doing the necessities, then it's it's probably gonna happen 9 times out of 10. So, but me personally, I've never had a crisis during sexual intercourse ever. I'm not gonna wood on that. So
Yeah, do that. I think this table is wood.
It's happened to me once, and I've heard one of my friends say that it happened actually during sex, and they had to stop, take medication, and then get back in the game. But
Tag
like,
me in, coach.
but like anything else, like you guys said, preparation. If you know that you're already hurting beforehand, because I know a lot of times that, you know, even though we're hurting, sometimes we want to be booed up. We still want that. So just take the medication, drink lots of fluids, and that's that. You got to figure out, and your partner has to also be understanding to that as well,
Yeah.
and not add to the situation, given that the situation is delicate, but that communication has to be open.
And I think, like, people who deal with AVN, though,
Right.
I think they probably have to be real creative,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Definitely, if you're dealing with joint problems like the hip replacement, the knee replacement, the shoulders, I mean, just depending on how you and the boo are getting down, you might want to figure out some positions that work best for you that isn't causing additional pain.
Right.
So, but I think that's important.
It is important because honestly, you want to live like, you
Like
know,
a normal person.
Yes, because we are normal, quote unquote, normal
I'm not
person.
normal, and I'm okay not being normal.
Well,
I'm
we're just
completely okay.
weird, but that is our normal. So, you know, you want to engage in the stuff that everybody does. You just have to find your workaround. As with anything,
Right.
find your workaround.
But yeah, I wouldn't want you guys to think that sex is not a trigger, because I've had people ask me that before.
I've
Just
had
send
people
questions to
ask
my
me.
inbox.
I mean, it's as a personal question, and so I just kind of look at them like, "Are you seriously asking me that?" Because I have pulmonary hypertension, and so, you know, sometimes I can't breathe. So people be like, "Well, so how does that work?" I'm like,
I
you know
didn't think
what?
about that.
Don't worry about how that works.
Right.
Oh, I think we have a caller. Let's see who's on the line.
Okay.
You're on the air with Sickle Cell Awareness 365.
Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. This is Tabitha from Memphis.
Hey, Tabitha.
I just wanted to chime in on the conversation today.
Okay.
No, you should not date or procreate with someone else who has sickle cell disease or trait. Why? What would be the purpose? If we already know that we're going through so much and we face certain discriminations and we don't get treated right, if we complain about that in one breath, how can you say that it's okay to date and procreate with someone in the next breath? It doesn't make sense.
Agreed.
I totally
If you can-
agree.
I mean, think about it. If you can prevent your kid from having cancer, you're going to do it.
Right.
If you can prevent your kid from having lupus, you're going to do it. So why not prevent your kid from having sickle cell disease? It's an easy choice. Just don't have babies with somebody with sickle cell disease. It's that simple.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
I totally agree.
You got 100% agreement on
Right.
that one.
No detractors
and
here.
You know what? when I say that, I get a lot of pushback because a lot of people feel like it's not a big issue. But
It's a
if
huge
I'm dealing
issue.
with this pain, if I'm dealing with this this suffering, or if I'm feeling some kind of way surviving with sickle cell disease, why would I want to put my children through that?
Right.
I don't want to bring anybody else into the world.
People get
dealing with
really
this.
sensitive about it, like
They
you're
do.
physically coming for them and their life. But we
Right.
all, like I said, we talk eradication. This is it. This is how you eradicate the disease.
You want to stop
Exactly.
it? Let's stop it there.
It's about awareness and education. It's a simple choice. I mean,
Yeah.
based on personal experience, I've dated and been with someone who had sickle cell disease, and it just didn't end well because we knew that we both wanted children and we wanted to adopt. And there's no way that I can have children and be safe and secure knowing that my mate can take care of our family if something happens to me, because he's dealing with the same things I am.
Right.
Which I understand is one of the reasons that brought us close, because we both are dealing with the same beast. We speak the same language. There's a comfort there. There's an open and understanding there. But at the same time, if I get sick and you get sick, who's going to take care of the kids?
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
So let me ask you something, Tabitha, because you said you wouldn't date anyone with the trait as well. If kids were off the table, would you consider dating someone with the trait?
I probably wouldn't do it unless the circumstances were so phenomenal and this man proved to me that he could handle business if something did happen. I just couldn't do it. Personally, it's a no for me. I'm sorry, sis, no.
Okay.
No,
It's okay.
You gotta be sorry.
Right.
No,
Okay.
Fab can't do it.
Cool
Mm-mm.
beans. Well, thank you. Do you have anything to add to the sex with sickle cell? Any extra tips besides hydrating, pre-medicating, finding a position,
Okay.
whatever?
So for me personally, and I hate to say personally, but I'm giving y'all my spiel.
Okay.
I have had a crisis and pain during and after sex, so I really have to be particular about what I'm doing and hydrate before. And if I know I'm already in pain, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, boo, what had happened was we can't really set this down the way we want it, so let's reschedule." And if he's understanding, and typically they are,
Yeah.
he'll
Yeah.
wait. I mean, if you're being pushed to do something that you really don't want to do and you're already dealing with a chronic disease, you don't need that in your life anyway.
You're right. I can completely agree with that.
Well, we are
Awesome.
all on the same page here. Thank you so much for calling and giving us your opinion.
No problem. You guys are doing so awesome. I just wanted to let you know that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
I did it.
Awesome. So yeah, that was pretty good. I completely agree with her. It's just all about awareness and education, whether to date, whether to remain in the relationship, or to even go to that point of sex with someone. It's just about educating them and letting them know where you are, where you stand.
And it just requires a huge deal of trust, that because I'm trusting you with my health, my life, and all those things. I mean, you're doing that anyway, whether you have sickle cell or not, but it's just a little bit extra precautions that need to be taken.
Agreed. I think that should come up with the conversation with, okay, let's see what your STD report looks like. Just throw that trait
Trait,
testing.
STD test,
Right.
like all of those.
Yeah, it needs to be all in that conversation. So
We have another caller.
okay, awesome.
You're in the air with Sickle Cell Awareness 365.
Hi, I was calling I wanted to ask a question, get your guys' opinion.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
What do you hope is the outcome of telling someone you're dating that you have sickle cell? And do you ever have any fear about it?
Well, I always hope the outcome is going to be positive.
Right.
Like, I hope that they're going to be like, okay, boo, we got this together.
Right.
But there is always that fear that maybe they won't take it that way.
Right. I can agree with that. The same is for me. And honestly, I would want because my mindset about trying to take care or take control of the disease, I want them to help me do that. So for instance, with my eating, if I know I'm cutting back on certain things, not to say that they need to change their diet too, but they also need to be understanding of that. And if they decide to cook that day, then keep in mind that maybe I'm not eating steak or pork anymore. So they need to kind of join in on the fight with the disease. If they can't, and if they're a hindrance, then it won't work. So, and like Jennifer said, that fear is there that they won't, or they'll just walk away from it. So, what about you?
Well, it is a fear of mine. I've always had concerns about when to disclose it.
Okay. What
about you, Greg?
What outcome do you want? What do you expect?
I would expect them to be understanding, show a little bit of empathy, but I wouldn't want anybody to, I guess you could say, feel sorry for me.
Right.
I just want complete understanding, and we could, be on one accord with the entire situation, and then I could get that support from that person. That's all I want.
That makes sense.
Well, that was a really good question.
It was. Thank you
Thank
for
you
calling.
for calling. We appreciate you watching.
Thank you. I really love the show. Thank you. Keep it going. Keep it going.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
So another topic sometimes with, and this kind of ties into everything, with having crisis induced by menstruation, as well as one of the questions I think we had about priapism.
Oh, wait, hold on. There's another caller.
Okay.
You're on the air with Sickle Cell Awareness 365.
Hi, guys.
Hey, how are you?
This is Taylor. I am good. So, I have a question for Greg. Is he in?
Yes.
He's here.
Hey, Greg. So, being a male with sickle cell, I don't know about priapism. So, how do you deal with that if it happens to you?
It's a delicate situation, but it's almost like any other crisis. You have to hydrate constantly. Sometimes maybe like showers work. Just trying to relax. Like I said, it's almost like any other crisis, but it's a lot more. It's a lot more delicate, and a lot more goes into it than just okay. I'm gonna sit down and watch TV or something like that. Like you gotta, like I said, you gotta hydrate extra hard when something like this occurs.
No pun intended.
So if you don't have, okay, let's say you took the medicine and the medicine don't work for priapism.
Okay.
Then what?
You would hope that you don't have to go to the hospital, because when you do have to go to the hospital, it's not gonna be fun. You're gonna have to. They're gonna get a needle, and they're gonna insert that into your penis, and you're gonna have to extract the blood, and that just sounds painful. So
It sounds painful. I don't even have a
yeah.
So me and Taylor spoke earlier, and one of her questions was if you've had sex through the priapism.
Yeah, have you ever had to do that?
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah, I have, and no, it does not work. It makes it worse, actually.
Wow.
I was like, maybe this will work, and it was a fail. I just ended up was like, you know what? I just need to go to sleep. I can't deal. So,
Wow.
yeah, it wasn't the smartest decision, but during that moment, you don't really know exactly what to do, and all your common sense goes out the window. So you just try any and everything.
It's interesting.
And that was a good question, Taylor.
That was a good question.
Well, thank you for that information.
You're welcome.
You are welcome. Thank you
Thanks
for
for
calling.
calling.
Of course.
You have a good one.
You too.
Yeah. Another thing that we spoke about earlier is I've heard where women have, I don't even know the proper term for it, but it's like priapism, but it's with the clitoris.
I have heard that.
I've heard of it. Thank
Very
goodness.
like small circumstances. Like I've not heard it like widespread.
Me neither. I haven't really heard of many people dealing with that. I'm pray to God that's not one of my experiences, but apparently, anywhere that blood can flow, it's likely. I've had one in my butt before. I've had a crisis in my butt before, so anywhere that blood can flow is likely to have a crisis. So yeah, anything you guys want to add about sex, dating, and relationships with sickle cell?
I think we covered a lot of things. Mostly just prepare yourself for everything you do. Hydration is always key. And honesty and communication and relationships is key also. And, just keep those lines of communication open with your partner and don't hide from them. Like once you get to the point where you have told them and you are depending on them, you want that to be like the first person that you call in a crisis situation. So if you're in a situation where your significant other is not someone who that's the first person you can call, maybe you need to reevaluate that situation.
Right. And be careful of people and how they deal with it. Meaning, I dated a guy once before that would go into panic mode when I had a situation. And him being in panic mode didn't help my situation because now I'm dealing with what I'm dealing with, and now I have to calm you down.
Right.
And it just takes away from me trying to get better myself. So that has to be weighed as well, how they react or how they respond to you being in crisis or you having your moment. So,
and sometimes you just have to tell them that, like, this is what's going on. I need you to be calm. Like, sometimes people don't understand what you need in those situations, and you're going to have to, like, actually tell them what you need. Like this, one of my best friends, when I met her, she knew nothing about sickle cell. Mm-hmm. And she came to my house to stay, like, the weekend, and I wasn't feeling well. I was actually feeling really poorly. And I was like, look, this is what you need to do.
Right.
Like, I even wrote it down for her. I'm like, if I do this, do this. If I do this, do that. Call this person. Like, and me giving her that information up front, it helped, and it made the whole situation easier. And then she went on her own and started doing a lot of research about sickle cell to understand it better.
That's a good idea. That's something that really good to take away, just with anybody, especially if they don't know anything about sickle cell. Because like you said, people don't know how to help. They feel helpless and they can't take away the pain. So having that like guideline or to-do list of things when you're in a crisis is extremely helpful. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So this has been rather enlightening for me, and I want to thank Greg for coming through and blessing us with some male energy here.
Right. Balance it out a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. We also do want to give a thank you to our sponsors, though, because they've been supporting us. Mr. Moore at the Apex Museum.
Please, if you have not gone to the Apex Museum, they have been in downtown Atlanta for 41 years, I believe. Please, and it's Black History Month, so please take the time to go down there, check out the museum, learn some things about your history, learn some things about Atlanta's history. It's absolutely amazing in there. And tell Mr. Moore that
we sent you.
Yes. We also want to thank Tanya Robinson with Kids Stop Daycare and Learning Center. She is awesome. That center is awesome. She allows and opens up her space for us to have relief drives, the trunk or treat, and different activities that we have at her location. And she's been a great supporter. So make sure you check us out on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Make sure to follow us. We have an event coming up.
March the 7th, we're having a Cell Talk which is basically a roundtable discussion. Everyone is invited to bring your friends and your family out, and we can all just sit around and talk and educate, spread awareness, and love on each other. It's going to be March 7th at the Courtyard Atlanta North Lake on La Vista Road. And we are also going to be in Raleigh on February 25th with the Black Professional Network, who have been very supportive of us, doing some awareness spreading there in Raleigh for sickle cell during Black History Month.
Yes, so you can purchase your Cell Talk tickets on www.sca365.com or find us on Eventbrite. The event is called Cell Talk. So type that in the search box. It is $10 per person, free if you're 12 and under. So come out, have a good time.
It's
Follow
from
us.
1 to 3.
1 to 3. There will be some snacks.
Light
Snacks for
refreshments.
lunch. So, but thank you guys for tuning in, and we hope that you guys to continue to tune in and support us. So we'll see y'all next time.
Oh yeah, I see sunshine every time I look in your eyes, reminiscing about the way you made me feel. I know where I wanna be. If I were to apologize, I would admit I often think of you. Conversations overdue. Tell me, if I told you that I still love you, what would you say? And if I told you that I still care, would you push me away? There's just something about you. Oh, something about you. There's just something about you.